Okay, so Dr. Lee, we've been talking about your personal life and your thought and your truths and reasons. So now let's go to physical life, physical world. Let's talk more in detail especially how the universe and nature happens to appear here.
Yep. The basis of the universe is energy, and matter begins with the contradiction of energy. Energy begins to frost first, and through the numerous stages of agglomeration with different topological phases, metals are created, properties appear, and physical laws arise. Energy naturally occurs and disappears randomly all over the place, actually in the vacuum space. A space in which energy spreads in continuation is called the universe, or a physical world. Material world forms the first grains of energy as the sizes of Planck. Planck sizes are minus 30 fifths power of 10 in meter in length, and minus 43rd power of 10 second in time. The structures in many levels create the properties and the physical laws. The properties are felt by the five senses of various sizes, shapes, colors, rigidity, smells, and taste. And the physical laws are made based on the four fundamental forces: gravity, electromagnetic force, nuclear force, and weak force. Physicists have described the magnetic, nuclear, and weak forces in a unified way, and are now finally studying and the theory of everything, TOE, that incorporate gravity. They are now trying to unify all forces into one. Since one universe opens and exchanges as one, all internal beings are always subjective and relative to each other. In other words, as long as we cannot leave the physical world, we cannot escape from the subject point of view. And we need to maintain a proper state to keep existing with relativity. Einstein's theory of relativity means that the energy density of all places changes in connection with each other, so that each location has a different gravity, and accordingly the light bend and the time goes differently in places.
Okay. Those are different than what we learned, they heard from the Christian creationism and the science evolutionism. And those are actually fighting each other a lot, time to time, and then throughout the path. What is your opinion when the Christianism and then the scientific evolutionism fight or have a conflict to each other?
There are a lot of debate. Yep. Christian creationism is very human-centered and also centered thinking, with many self-contradictions. Christianity felt the existence of God, but used God to be national, human, or earth-centered. Therefore, geocentric theory and the special creation theory of the earth and humans came out. Our greediness is very closely related to the extent or depth of truth. Desire and greed create goals and artificial process, and justify or rationalize the things within it, and reflect and distort the truth. If I change the topic to the evolutionary theory, that theory corresponds to the theory of environmental adaptation, mainly being applied to life. It is especially true of the concept of natural selection, which is the core of the evolutionary theory. If the evolutionary theory is based on nature, who created nature and who is controlling it? Evolutionary theory is never in a position to speak of the occurrence of the universe, especially as in response to creationism. Broadly speaking, science is just about the theories of the phenomena after matter, and never can explain a world without matter. That is how science differs from philosophy and mathematics. Creationism by God of Christianity and Darwin's theory of evolution cannot be the exact answer to the universe occurrence.
Okay. That's very different than what I learned in the past. So it's very, very new. It's a little different with the evolution theory, but how about the Big Bang theory? What is your thought in Big Bang theory then?
Actually, very different viewpoint I have. Energy is randomly generated and disappeared everywhere. It can be likened to clouds forming in various places in the empty air, gathering and scattering at various densities and fading away. A variety of material worlds are created by the aggregation and dissipation of energy. humans distinguish and label the unit of matter based on relatively large density boundaries and live by feeling with five senses and using the properties that appear according to them. Yet, because the physical information is conveyed through matter, humans can feel with the five senses. If there is no light or electromagnetic waves, we cannot see. If there is no air, we cannot hear. If there is no smell transmitting material, we cannot smell. Yeah, the same is true of touch and taste. We can't see a world that doesn't produce electromagnetic waves, like a complete vacuum of no energy. We cannot see a world that absorbs everything, like a black hole, or does not emit light or magnetic waves, like dark matter or dark energy. We can't live inside there because we cannot get energy at all. Yeah. I hope the circulation of positive, negative, real, and the imaginary space-time will be discussed in detail.
Okay.
Separately. Yeah, the Big Bang theory is a cosmic theory that a certain amount of energy was initially in the form of a particle of infinitesimal size, infinitesimal size, and infinite density. And then exploded at a moment and is now continuing to expand. Yeah. At original the one particle and exploded at a moment and continuing to expand. That's the Big Bang theory. Yeah. This theory may explain an arbitrary period of phenomena of a portion of the universe. I have suggested 7 reasons why this theory is incomplete. Yeah? I expect the detailed explanation about this would be made separately.
Okay.
Yeah. Yet, there can be numerous other universes beside the one in which we live. In those universes, other physical laws and constants may exist. Some modern physicists use the word multiverse or multi-universes instead of universe. Yeah.
Okay. So negative and imaginary numbers. So let's talk about some numbers. Let's talk about math. I know negative and imaginary numbers in mathematics or math is known as unnatural number, unreal,
Yeah, yes.
or not. I wouldn't say unreal, but unnatural. What are their meanings in nature then, if it's unnatural?
Yeah. If we square a negative number or falsely square an imaginary number, we get a natural number or real number.
Yeah.
Yeah? This means that the world of negative or the world of imagination can be transformed into a positive real space from a potential world. In other words, negative and imaginary worlds are not spaces that human can see or live in, but they can be transformed from being latent into a natural world at any time, so that humans can see and feel. I'd like to take one example of a mathematical formula here. Euler's formula, E, natural index E, I squared equal cosine x plus I sine x, which is considered the most beautiful formula in mathematics, is related to this cycle. It is applied in various engineering, such as signal processing, electronic circuit design, and power transmission. The density change and the change of the material world due to the aggregation and dissipation of energy can be explained by the interpretation of physical space-time on the complex plane. That is the analysis of positive, negative, real, and imaginary space-time. The absolute temperature of the background radiation of the universe, approximating the natural index value, which is about 2.725 degree in the absolute temperature, may mean the circulation of the universe at this density. The space that humans can see and live is only a positive real space out of the total physical space in our universe.
Okay. So everything connects to the universe. Then why is the universe or nature happens to change continuously? They're changing. They're moving. They're changing. Why is that?
That's a very good question. Everyone experiences it routinely, but never asked why. The universe is imperfect because it is always finite. So it always changes. Thoroughly complete things do not change. This is the truth itself. All physical worlds are finite and therefore limited and imperfect, constantly changing, and so temporarily existing. They are very passive except for their own physical properties. This shows that physical world is a secondary world, not a self sufficiently original world. A universe occurs, changes, and disappears as a whole, and within it, the object temporarily occur, change, and disappear. Yeah, this is also the truth itself. Each universe is a type of realization, and also human daily life is a continuation of realization of reasons using materials. I mean, all changes in nature, also all life activities in human are the continuation of realization of reasons using materials. Some of the infinite reasons are realized while making use of matter for while. Yeah. For example, one simple example is that the number of people who work for a company continues to change from 7 to 9 with 2 added, and 5 with 4 withdrawn. I mean, the number of people in a company always change based on reasons, but using material or material things. Yeah? So there can be any number of different universes at any given time, and all material worlds are temporary beings. They are constantly changing. However, the rules of causality for changing include unchanging reasons internally.
Okay. So Dr. Lee, I'm gonna ask you a few physics or mathematics. I guess it's more to physics. Why is the law of physics is explained or expressed in equation numbers? Why are they? Is the law of physics pre-made, or is it already existed, or is it made by occurrence or physical world? Did we create it?
Yes. The physical law is a regularization or regulation of a causal relationship, in which results differ depending on physical causes or conditions. It is the expression of the causal relationship of material changes with the same conditions and the same result, using unchanging reasons or mathematical logics. The world of reason is original, even if there is no physical world at all. Reason always exists as the basis and potentiality. It can be said that physical worlds are based on this world of reason and exist temporarily. Therefore, in all physical worlds, the reason as the basis or ground is embedded as truth. The laws of physics or the laws of change contain unchanging mathematical truth as reasons. A law of physics corresponds to a special equation, yeah, given by condition among a number of possible equations. It means the physical law is made by condition. Yeah? So the physical world is a temporary realization of mathematics using methods, and thus the reason of background becomes involved in a physical existence or change. So the laws of physics are not pre-made, yeah, before the physical world, nor can they exist without the physical world. When physical condition changes, do the laws of physics. It means the laws of physics are dependent on the conditions, physical conditions. Yeah? All laws of physics become to exist together with the corresponding physical conditions. Therefore, the laws of physics cannot be called truth. Yeah, but they are considered as quasi-truth. As human beings who cannot escape the physical world with their body in life. The laws of physics are universal in species that fulfill the same physical conditions. However, reason exists even without any or all physical world. Yeah. If reason or truth changes, it is never possible to trace the past or to predict the future of the physical world. Because there is an unchanging reason, all logical thinking is possible. Without reason or truth, even chaos would be impossible.
Okay.
So we need to understand what is conditional, what is change, yeah, what is not conditional, unconditional, and unchanging.
Okay, so unchanging reason.
Yes.
Then what are some physical constants or cosmics? What are they? Why are they? Why are they explained or expressed in such a detail? Why are they so detailed? The physical or the cosmic contents.
Yes. There is a relationship between variables according to physical conditions. Yeah? The finer the conditions of the variables, the more detailed the relationship between them. The smallest size of the material is Planck size that I said before. Very, very detailed number. Yeah, 10 minus 40 minus 35. Sorry, minus 30.
35.
35th power over 10 meter in length. Yeah. Humans actually
Very tiny.
yes, very fine. Humans actually have understood and utilized object up to minus 17th power of 10 meter, including materials, molecules, atoms, atomic nuclei, neutrons, protons, electrons, and quarks. It means we have understood and utilized up to the middle scale, middle level in scale. Yeah, minus 35 and minus 17 in scale in the middle. Planck size occurs in the balance between the viscous force of the energy and the expanding force of the vacuum, or between the temperature of the energy and the absolute temperature of the vacuum at 0 degrees. This is quite physical explanation. Planck size is very important to understand the material world, but I hope we can discuss about it in detail separately. Yeah, human size is in the middle to high level between the Planck size and the universe size. Yeah, universe size is assumed to be 27th power of 10 meter. So human size is meter, yeah, meter scale.
Meter scale.
Yeah, but universe size is 27th power, but Planck size is minus 35 power.
Okay, there's a big gap.
Yeah, so the fine-tuned design theory claimed by the creationist is a very ridiculous logic, explaining on the occurring phenomenal basis. Most reality-based inevitable theories correspond to the reverse engineering method, or the reality rationalization or justification method used by those who do not know or ignore the causes.
Okay. Not in this talk, but you talked about before when we were doing just a private meeting. You talked about quantum mechanics or modern physics, and I don't remember clearly, but you said the concept of entanglement phenomenon is emerging. That physics cannot easily understand or explain. Can you tell me more about that again?
Actually, this topic is very, very recent, hot issue. Yeah.
In physics.
Yes, in physics. Yeah. The entanglement phenomenon is a concept, yeah, that makes physicists who follow only the physical world into dogs that follow chickens. It is a problem that can never be solved by only staying in matter and not understanding the world of reason and human perception. It means in order to understand the entanglement problem, we have to understand we need to understand and consider that physical world changes as a whole, open to one. Object can change by the light of the viewer, and intelligent beings can act and make changes in advance based on logic. The entanglement is an easy problem to be solved if we understand the four fundamentals. First, the world of reason is the basis of all physical worlds. Second, the physical and material world are temporarily existent based on that reason world. Third, the reasons are embedded in the physical world. And fourth, the reasons appear everywhere to the thinkers instantly beyond the speed of light. If I add one more, the intelligent beings, like humans, can act and make changes of physical state in advance by understanding the reasons. If I explain in more detail, if we understand the reasons, then we can live in advance the physical world over the speed of light. This is very new concept, but very important. Particle wave duality, uncertainty principle, cat life paradox, Einstein's spooky action mystery, entanglement problem, etc. Those are phenomena that appear at the boundaries of the world of reason, the physical world, the material world, and the world of human perception. They can be explained by analogy in relation to vacuum and air and cloud, water and sponge, wind and hemp clothes. But I hope to leave these detailed explanations for the first. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so Dr. Lee, so now let's move to a God. Now let's move to religions. Do you even believe God existence? Do you even believe he or that God is here? How does the God that we the generally known is different from those many gods in I'll change my question. How does your God actually different from the God we generally know throughout the history? Especially the Christian God.
Yes, about the God, yeah. The OnCharm's God is not a natural deity or personal God, or a God who has been spoken in any religion, man or region in human history. God exists by itself without any need, yeah, and does not need to rely on any deficiency, but exists by being self-sufficient. The intangible existence of the whole reason, the originally self-sufficient and most primordial being, that is God. As human beings in a universe, the truth, yeah, the reason that is being realized in our universe, the truth may be called God. I mean, the God is the whole of the reason world, but as human beings, we call the truth as the God. Thus, the nature of the God I am talking about is the intangible being that is always right and never changes, yeah? And is never a personal God who feels, thinks, act, create, or judges something while being constrained by physical space and time. My God is the God who is always right, even without any physical world, or in everywhere of our universe, and immediately appears as reasons to humans who think right and completely fair to all. So, in the conventional notion, it is never the God. Yeah, my God is completely different. And also, my God is not the universe, nor nature itself. Yeah. My God is always and permanently right beings, the right being that exist before all temporary physical world.
Okay, so it's not the universe nor nature, but they were here even before.
Yes.
Okay. But throughout the mankind histories, throughout our history, there were numerous gods. There were many gods.
Yeah.
We still have many gods.
Yes.
And people or human being naturally feel that God is here with us. God is in God existence. We create, we destroy, we kill, or we create a new one. And we even sometimes say the God is dead. Why do you think humans often think God is everywhere? Why do we create God so many times? Why do we believe in God? Not your God, the general God that we're talking.
Humans always feel God vaguely, with the truth and nature. But because they do not know the whole truth, they have regarded each part as a God. And sometimes the nature, where the truth is hidden, as the God. So there were so many gods, and the gods appeared with the diversity of nature, and disappeared with the understanding of nature.
Mm.
According to this, humans have had a lot of gods and religions, with confusion. Because reason and truth are God's content, humans feel that God appears everywhere and always right. God is always everywhere, but immediately appears according to the person who thinks it. Yeah? It is the same with the mirror or radio case. If the mirror illuminates the scenery,
It appears.
the scenery appears according to the size of the mirror, the direction of facing, and the degree of cleanliness. Well, if the radio is properly equipped with the internal circuit, and the frequency is properly adjusted, then the desired channel broadcast is captured. So human beings made gods with a natural object or natural phenomena by ignorance or fear, and built up gods with desire and purpose, and said God died by pride and arrogance, and said that God doesn't exist by indifference. When all truths are realized, God becomes one, and it becomes thoroughly objective, so that everything agrees, and no confusion, no contradiction or conflict.
Okay. So it's a human greed and human centered. That's why you say human centered.
Yes.
So the question and the answer we just had is very, very sensitive topic, and then I know many people will either feel offended or question you a lot. How can you prove that the true universal God, the Unisophy God, in universe to them? How can you explain that to them? Those who gonna question you, those who gonna felt offended by the point you just made it.
Before I proved the reason and the truth are permanently right, maybe we can continue from that. Thomas Aquinas had proved God existence as five of the first activist, the most cause, the inevitable source of the object existence, the most complete being, and the best goal. These five proofs of existence of God by Thomas Aquinas seem to have extended the existent characteristics of physical things and human abilities. So his proofs support the attribute of Christian personal God. Yeah. But my proof of the existence of the universally correct God is performed through the 5 steps. Yeah. First, the existence of originally right world of reasons, even without any physical things. Second, existence of imperfect, temporary, always changing, and passive physical worlds. Third, existence of the world of life in the middle of reason and physical world. Fourth, some reasons are embedded in the physical worlds as the basis and the laws. And finally, the characteristics of life that resembles the attribute of God by realizing the reasons or truth. This proof of the existence of God in the 5 steps is a way to prove all things of tangible and intangible existence in the universe as one. That is, the existence of God is confirmed through nature and life, and surely proved through truth and reason. This is because nature and life are product of God, and truth and reason are God itself, or the content of God. Until now, human beings have felt that God existed at any time, anywhere, based on those things that appear as natural phenomena and life activities, while these permanent reasons and truths are hidden in nature's laws as attribute of God. By adding the human wishes and the purpose to this, and setting the prayer and the ritual, religions of sacrifice and worship have been created.
Okay. So we created. Maybe not we, not me, but humanity created.
Yeah.
So does it mean religion or God is not necessary, or we don't need it for our life?
For human life?
Yeah, for human being, human life.
Almost the similar question, as before. If man knows all the truth, there's no need for religion. There's no need to worship or admire while making it a religion. For this always right, all fair, and unchanged. I mean, the attribute of God is always right, all fair, and unchanged. So we don't need to admire or worship as a separate religion. Also, God never wishes for worship. Nor does he ever listen to prayer or judge. God is never such a tangible being, having brain, sensory organs, or limbs, yeah, for thinking, feeling, or acting. Those functions, I mean the thinking, feeling, and acting, those functions are constrained by the physical space and time. That's not the attribute of God. I mean, God should not be constrained by the physical space and time. Yeah. Human beings, as an imperfect existence, human being can be constrained by the physical space and time, but God doesn't. Humans enjoy the benefits as much as they realize, and they struggle as ignorant and stupid. When we fully realize, we solve all the questions and the problems in life, and also we lose our death. So yeah, in the future there will be a world without worship, without superstition, and without religion. They will gradually become thinner and weaker and disappear. It will take a lot of time for them to disappear completely, but they will gradually disappear. Actually, religions never aim for perfect truth. Modern global religions, maybe Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism, yeah. Modern global religions have three common traits: heaven or paradise and hell, resurrection and reincarnation, and miracles and magical powers. Common trait. These three have been introduced as the ways to forcibly compensate for the weakness that are most vulnerable and difficult to escape by viewing humans as physical beings without knowing the truth properly. The religions, actually the religions pray for the success and comfort the unsuccessful person, and are donated and maintained in return. So religions, they don't pursue the real truth. It is all about making and using religion to meet the needs of the human being by looking at him weak and ignorant.
Okay. Interesting. That just reminds me that another question about universe that you mentioned earlier in this talk, that you said while you meditate you can feel the universe is alive, that you can feel the connection. That, can you explain us more, tell us more about that the universe is being alive and you can feel that connection?
Yes, it really is. Because the universe is alive, we can be alive in it.
Mm.
Yeah. Actually, the first essay book I wrote is a book of contemplation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, titled as "The Universe is Alive."
Mm-hmm.
Exactly the same title. Yeah, it doesn't discuss the truth, but people seem to like it very much, I think. No individual can survive in a completely dead environment. Living is an interaction with the environment. You may feel and confirm that because the entire universe is alive, you can live in it. Yeah? We are part of the universe or nature. As I said before, the most important things for our physical life, breathing, digesting,
Mm-hmm.
and blood circulating are not our disposal. Yeah? We can give up our life and possibly stop them, but we cannot operate our heart, stomach, and lungs at our will. Yeah? All are connected with nature and operated in the whole life. So I believe that there is a difference between life and artificial intelligence in this point.
Okay.
Computer scientists, they are trying to develop the artificial intelligence,
Yeah.
but those artificial intelligence will be different from life in the connection point of view with nature.
Sure. So that could be why the universe and why the truth is true. Then how can you prove or explain that we are live, we are living in? How can you explain that? What is live and what is not live? You said the artificial intelligence, AI, will be different than actual intelligence. How can you tell the difference? How can you tell which one is live, which is not? Is it possible to talk about living and dying or life and death while leaving our body?
Yeah, good question, I think. We are going very deep now. People say that they feel alive with the five senses, especially relying on visibility.
That's true.
Or moving. Yeah, all humanity has been so. Yeah? Those are traditional ways of physically being life centered on the body. Yeah. However, they are extremely rudimentary and primitive ways, and the ways humanity has done much wrong. Entire human race has been in great ignorance so far in the point of view. Yeah. They have said when the body moves, it is alive, yeah? But even when it does not move, it is alive while breathing. Even when it stops breathing, if the heart or brain is working, it is alive. Yeah? And on the way of dying, it can be survived with artificial respiration or brain shock. Yeah. So we have said life, death and life, based on our seeing or visuality. Yeah. Talking about being born for a moment. Yeah. Reproduction of life is an anomalous method of prolonging individual death. There are several methods of propagation, including pregnancy, spawning, and division. And people see such new births of life only from the point of view of physical succession. But I see that prolonging life through such breeding is an opportunity for enlightenment. Very, very different viewpoint. Yeah, human beings have seen life and death as such, yeah, based on visuality, yeah, moving. So they have said when they die physically, the soul goes to heaven or hell, becomes a ghost, float in the air or around them, or immortalized somewhere, something like that. They have said like that. Yeah. So there has been a lot of confusion while making the doctrines of heaven and hell, resurrection, reincarnation, and transmigration, or something like that. But from now on, we have to say death and life while focusing on our soul. Not based on body. Then all truths will be connected without contradiction. Maybe let's talk separately about what is called soul. God is 100% truth and has always existed, never died, and appears everywhere. And the saint did not die, and they are still alive.
Okay.
Those who lived only physically disappeared completely as the body returned to the nature, to nature. Yeah. Individuals live as wide and long as the souls who have realized the truth. If I summarize at the moment, God is 100% truth, so no death. Saint, they live based on their soul, but their soul is related to the extent of truth realization. Individual also the same. So life is a connection between matter and God. Each individual being is an entity that realizes the truth, the content of God, and approaches God. Therefore, life becomes the process of realizing the truth, and the process of cultivating the soul, and approaching the permanent living being, God. So we can prolong our lifespan by realizing truth and by increasing our soul.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? So, therefore, the fully enlightened human becomes an eternal being that lives forever without death.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
why you said lost death.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
very, 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 very different viewpoint.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, for death and life, in connecting to all things. Yeah,
Yeah,
together.
those are very new.
Yes.
That's a very new concept and or point of view. Okay. Then you did said while you were answering that there are differentiates between um, being alive.
Mhm.
There are difference. There may be a difference. There may be different things, different lives. Can you tell me more specifically how and what are different between living and inanimate objects
Mhm.
or matters?
Uh-huh.
And the difference in what you call aliveness for
Mhm.
the same living
Mhm.
things or object or human or creatures.
Uh-huh. Yes, sir. It is very good question, I think. Everything that exists in the universe is alive, even in inanimate matter. Yeah. But what we call inanimate object or matter is very little alive. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Even though they are alive as much as their active properties in physics, they do not have the autonomous ability to move or think for themselves. I mean, in animate matter or object, they are alive based on their physical property, but their aliveness is very, very low level. Yeah, they don't have autonomous ability. Yeah, life forms have autonomy, yeah, and activeness to move or change subjectively compared to pure materials. Yeah, such autonomy and activeness basically depend on the organism, but the more knowledgeable and the higher intelligent, the greater the autonomy and the activeness. Yeah, I mean, more knowledgeable and higher intelligent makes more autonomous. Yeah, and active. Yeah. So the more autonomous and active creatures are, the greater they live. Yeah. Their degree of knowledge and the truth, this is the size of the soul. This is because God, who is 100% autonomous and active. 100% autonomous and active means he can exist by himself. Yeah, 100% sufficiently by himself. And God can exist its own from the origin without any shortage. Yeah, and is a living being who lives anywhere, anytime. So God appears anywhere, anytime.
Anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, and lives all over the world. Yeah, beyond the physical world, without death, even without any other existence. Yeah, and his content is the holism or truth. If we consider activeness or great living only on a physical basis, then the activity of scientist, artist, thinker, philosopher, clergyman, or priest cannot be explained. I mean, if we are only considering the activeness and the great living based on physical things, then maybe athletes, they are the first. Yeah? But thinkers, they don't. The smaller the activeness and the greater the passiveness, the more it depends on others. Yeah? For both existence and change. We can also say that we are alive by influence. Yeah, having a soul as big as the realization of the truth increases its influence. Physical influence is very limited and short-lived. Maybe physical influence is based on physical force. Yeah? Physical force is very limited and short-lived in effectiveness. But the spiritual influences spread or propagate beyond the physical space and time. Yeah? Many years and everywhere. Yeah? God lives forever, everywhere, and the saint lives as historically as the truth they realize. Yeah. So anyone who has only lived physically will disappear without any trace. Yeah, if the body is buried after death. Yeah.
I learned and heard throughout my years that human beings, we are created in God's image of God, and morality is a phenomenon that appears because of Him or the God. What is your opinion about that?
Yeah, humans feel the soul or mental action and think of it as being from God, vaguely. This is because human beings can become closer to God by realizing the truth. The truth is the content of God, yeah? And realizing the power by developing the soul. I mean, when we realize the truth and when we develop the soul, then we can be closer to God. We can live longer and wider. Yeah. Those characteristics from the God. Yeah. The perfect truth. Yeah. Morality is almost the same. All living beings have moral sensibility. Somebody say in animal matter don't have morality, or somebody say animals don't have morality, but I don't agree. Only the levels are different.
Okay.
So if we broaden morality in its scope, then the morality go beyond the neighbors and the nature, and ultimately lead to God. it is the process by which the individual soul approaches the whole soul. It means it is the process that individual soul grows to the whole soul. Yeah.
That grows.
Yes. In truth, goodness and beauty, truth is always right and has the absolute value directly relating reason or God. However, goodness and beauty have relative values. Yeah, that's different. Truth is absolute, but goodness and beauty are relative, being defined in the secondary world or physical world. Yeah, but goodness and beauty, they turn to the truth, they approach the truth if we continue to expand their influential range.
Okay.
Yeah, ultimately, from me, my family, neighbors, nature, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. It's influential range. You did talk about this a little bit in the beginning of the talk, but I know you're worry-free, you're not scared of anything, but as a living creature, not just human, it could be any creature, it could be an animal or bugs. Living creatures naturally are scared and have a feelings of a sadness or scare or sorrow, especially for death or loss of a loved one. What can you tell about those feelings that we have? Why people feel so sad, and why are we so scared of losing our lives or someone else's lives?
Oh yeah, very, very interesting question. Yeah. Basically, it is because people see life as a body, physical existence.
Okay.
And think that if they die, they disappear forever. Yeah, they think like that. Nobody has refuted since human history that the body is scattered into nature when it dies. Yeah. So how vain and frightening are they to think that the I, family, or lover who has lived, talked, cried, and left disappears completely without any trace. Understand? Yeah, they, during their life, they talked, they cried, they enjoyed something very much, but without any trace, they disappear after death. Yeah. The soul or spirit seeker is not so attached to the body. He does not live for or centered on the body. Yes? Those who live a mental life can never be imprisoned. Physical death is never feared by them. Look at Socrates, Jesus, martyrs were ethnic independence fighters. Yeah? The greater the truth, the less he feared physical death. On the other hand, the rich, they are proud of their wealth. Yeah, the rich are extremely afraid of physical death and afraid of losing property and going to jail and unable to endure long after they are in prison. Yeah, those reasons are because they think that they are physical, living with focus on what they see and feel, yeah, physically and materially. So we have to know the reality is not the body, but the soul. Yeah, that the person has raised by realization of truth through his life.
Okay. How about resurrection or reincarnation that you said almost every religion has its common trait, especially in transmigration in Buddhism, that you said is in your book and you talked to me before about that some of the transmigration or the resurrection in Buddhism is related to the human genes. How that it is even possible?
Yeah. Actually, this is one subject connecting the physical things and the soul.
Yes, the spirit string.
Spiritual things. Yeah, I hope to discuss in detail, but let's have a separate discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, about those in detail next. Yeah. However, I would like to make it clear here that Buddhism, Hinduism, karma and transmigration can be explained by very closely relate to gene composition and inheritance. Very, very closely related. But I hope.
Okay.
To next, yeah.
Okay. So this could be a little bit off topic, but I know that you taught in university before you go to up in Himalaya, but that you said to, or you taught to the student that there's a quick way to figure out or measure the characteristic of individual or each student with a black box or some kind of equipment. What is it? Is it true?
Yes. It is called an impulse response. Yeah, it is taught in the subject of signal processing. It is a way to know the full function of the system without looking inside. For a system with some complicated internal structure, yeah, complex internal structure. It is a method of impulsively impacting the system with infinitely strong but instantly short electric power. Yeah. That way, the output that comes out becomes the characteristic function of the system. If I explain again, then okay, we have a very complex system. Then, if we want to know the characteristic function of the system without looking inside, then we give very strong electric power, but instantly, yeah. Maybe have you seen people making safety checks, tapping on a train or bridge with a handy hammer, it is very similar. Yeah. How about suddenly stabbing a quiet friend of yours with an awl? Then his or her immediate response will appear. People are different from pure substance, but they have some somewhat similar aspect. Yeah, because the body is physical. I hope I can provide a detailed explanation in the next opportunity.
Okay, that was interesting.
Mhm.
Now let's go back to the feelings. What do you think about pain or sorrow or sadness?
Mhm.
Can those feelings could be explained by understanding the truth or
Mhm.
realizing the truth?
Mhm. You mean some sort of suffering can be solved by truth? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. A very, very serious questions. Human beings belong to a constantly changing relative physical world. Yeah, physically, and must always keep a proper state. That is, the physical world continues to change. Yeah, but the body must remain in a proper condition while constantly adapting the environment. Yeah. So, in human life, wisdom and the continued effort are required. And in some cases, problems of moderation or midway follow along. Yet, I mean, the main reason of suffering and the sorrow, it comes from the continuing change of physical world and adapting requirement for the changes. Yeah. Actually, this also means that all human beings are naturally equal. In other words, physical world provides equal opportunity for all beings, turning low places high, dark places bright, cold places warm or hot, weak places strong, poor places rich, and so on. Physical world can change all the time and give the equal opportunity for all beings. So in humans must always try, yeah, and have to think and choose and act, but only once at a time. Have to eat and sleep, but almost the same amount. Have almost the same lifespan, and nobody can take anything away when they die. Yeah, those are the nature gives the equal opportunity, yeah, for all things. In order to solve inequality or difficulties that exist for a while, humans need patience, yeah, and mutual cooperation, love, and wisdom. To overcome the way humans overcome pain is a way of adapting to the changes around them as wisdom, and as far as possible transcending the physical world without clinging to finite and constantly changing matters. I mean, if we, as far as we cling to the finite and constantly changing matter, then our suffering becomes bigger and bigger. Wisdom is strengthened and expanded by realizing common sense, knowledge, and truth. Of course, the truth contribute more to wisdom than knowledge, and knowledge than common sense. And as long as we have a physical body, it is impossible to completely overcome the pain, but we need to try to overcome it by wisdom and mentally, while deviating as much as possible from the obsession of the physical world or physical life.
Okay. So this is a little different view in the physical lives. How come it's so hard or not easy or no fun to achieve good or act good, but it's very fun and fast and easy to do something bad or evil?
Yeah, evil is related to the body, yeah, and also to the material world. Everybody needs to always keep trying, as I said before. Each has their own requirement and desires, so they collide with each other as they are first and a lot in the finite world. Evil, in other words, occurs in a finite, ever-changing physical world, trying to satisfy physical and material desires as free will. Yeah? We have to realize why love is sacred, but it can be blind, exclusive, jealous, hateful, revengeful, or corrupted, or sometimes sexually defiled. And also we need to understand why the mouth that eats and speaks is too shameful or hurtful if it is opened too wide and spoken too much. And the effort is regarded as good, but the avarice is sinful. So, I mean, there is a purpose state to try and to satisfy. Yeah. The way out of evil is to know what human beings are, who I am, how much material or effort is needed for life, how much nature support, etc. It can be achieved through the learning of the truth. No other creature has the same greed and avarice as humans, and they store so much more than necessary. Other beings that are as greedy as humans are making weapons to steal others would kill each other? No. We must always keep in mind that the greater intelligence combined with greater greed, the greater the sin.